green above.
Here we go. History in the making.
Green, green, green.
SVG continues to run up the playoff points, but how far can he get in the playoffs? And now with just 2 races to go, a lot of folks find themselves in desperate straits. Hi, this is Brett McMillan. You listen to the Pit Reporters. With me this week, Kim Kuhn from the CW and NBC, and Holly Kane from the NASCAR Wire Service.
Welcome to the Pit Reporters on the Performance Racing Network. And now, here's your host, Brett McMillan.
And welcome to the show. Glad to have Kim and Holly here. What a great duo to have.
Yeah.
So glad to have you guys here. And let's talk about SVG. It's so interesting. When he first won, Kim, it was like, wow, what a breath of fresh air. And now that he's won 4 road course races in a row, the fans are going, wait a minute, come on, enough. But you know what I was thinking the other day? You know, we see so many guys come in from other parts of racing, and people say, oh, he's going to be great. Like, you know, Juan Pablo Montoya, he's going to come in here and he's going to win road courses and yada, yada, yada. This guy's doing what he was brought in here to do. He's backing it up.
Yeah, he is. And he's been road course racing his whole life. And so I think that helps. But I love the progression he's had on ovals, too. And I think it elevates the entire field having him in the Cup Series. And if you talk to most drivers, they'll say that they realize like they have to step up their game. It was interesting. I was talking to AJ Allmendinger, not about SVG, just about road courses in general. And he said, you know, because the field over the last 10 to 15 years has tried to get better at road courses, he's like, you don't have the advantage that you used to if you're like a road course guy. I still think we're seeing that from SVG just because he has a different style. He's been doing it his whole life. But just in general, we've seen the overall talent in the field have to pick up their game when it comes to road courses, and I think SVG helps that even more.
You know, Holly, we used to see the road course ringers come in, but they never won because they usually had a 3rd or 4th tier pit crew, so they'd always lose ground on their pit stops. He's not a road course ringer per se, and he's running full-time, so he's got a full-time crew with him now. But like I said, he's backing up what he was brought in here to do, and he's getting better at the ovals too.
Absolutely. And I think, Kim, what you said, it's a very good point. He is getting better at the ovals. You know, I hear that it seems like now every time SVG wins, people are kind of complaining about that. But, you know, it's not easy to come over and do what he's doing either. It's not like he just came from some small town in America. He's come, you know, continents over, and he's in different cars, driving with different feet. I mean, you know, where they go. And I think it's absolutely amazing that he has caught on as quickly as he has. And to do it at all these different kind of road courses, to me, I think it's something that should be, you know, I've heard people say celebrate him, but certainly don't begrudge him. I think it's going to raise everybody's game, as you said, Kim.
And that's the thing. I mean, we talk about the different types of road courses, and we were talking about it last week, you know, how different each road course is. And you talk about the fact, you know, Chicago street course and how different that is from Sonoma and how different that is from, you know, what you got at Watkins Glen and the different styles of road courses we're seeing them run on. They are very different in Mexico. Each has a different element to it. You know, they were saying Watkins Glen, I was talking to Todd Gordon last week. He's almost said it's almost like, you know, the intermediate tracks of NASCAR, of the road courses. So he's winning on all these different styles of road courses.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. Not that he won Watkins Glen, but he still had such an advantage. Obviously, he was close last year to winning before kind of his misstep that Chris Buescher took advantage of. But Watkins Glen is, to Todd's point, or even the point of, some people even call it the super speedway of road courses. It's very, very fast. It's high commitment. It's less technical and less turns. And so I maybe thought that would give the field a leg up. And there were some other players in there that were in the mix on Sunday, but I still was surprised that SVG at the end had the advantage he did, just because I thought that road course in particular, out of all the ones we go to on the schedule, was maybe less of one where his technical skills would shine as much as we see at other places.
Let's say, Holly, he's smart enough not to stink up the show until the last stage.
Well, that's kind of the thing. I mean, he's not just winning. He's winning by, 11 and a half seconds this week, 20 seconds in Mexico City. And something that I thought was very interesting, right after Ryan Blaney won the pole position, which was a great feat. That was awesome to watch pole qualifying even. He came in and he was kind of saying, yeah, well, he hopes he's going to pick up some things and learn some things from SVG. And I said, well, if you're going to be in front of him, how are you going to pick up, how are you going to watch him? And he smiled. It's just that even his competitors, SVG's competitors, realize that there's things that they can pick up from him. So there's good to be had from that. But, he's coming in and he's not just edging. He's not just, taking advantage of a good pit stop or strategy. He is absolutely pouncing.
Well, the thing is, and this has become the topic of conversation now, Kim, is he's got 22 playoff points. Mm-hmm. Now, he's not going to get any more playoff points for finishing in the top 10 because he's so far down in the standings. He's 25th in the standings. Has he shown you enough on the oval tracks? Because let's be honest, he's going to finish. He's going to be maybe 6th or 7th in the point standings when the playoffs start. Has he shown you enough that you feel like he can get through Darlington, Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway, and Bristol and still be in the top 12 to get into the round of 12?
I do think he'll get past the first round, and some of that is the playoff points that he has banked, I think will be helpful to him. He has made some gains like at Darlington, but the thing is, the playoffs get crazy and you never know what's going to happen. And so I think you're going to see a mix of him, yes, getting better on the ovals. He's got those playoff points banked, but then other drivers also getting into trouble. And so I think that's going to net out for him making it to the round of 12. Now, after that, I'm not sure. Do I think he's a championship 4 contender? I would not put him in that category. But I hope that he actually moves on past the round of 16 just to see what he brings and how that team steps up at more ovals in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen him race ovals all year long, but I think everybody can agree the playoffs are a completely different ballgame. And even teams that are the best somehow end up being better. I don't know how they do it. And so I'm curious to see how their team kind of steps things up, and excited for Steven Doran to see, how he crew chiefs and leads that team through hopefully at least the first round of the playoffs.
Well, if he gets into the round of 12, what's in the round of 12.
Yes.
the
yes.
Robles in the round of 12.
We will see. I think that if he makes the round of 12, he could easily make it to the round of 8. I do not see him making it past the round of 8.
Holly, how do you feel about it?
I would agree with Kim. And I think not only does he have the bonus points that are going to be a big help to him, but, this is a champion driver. He came over to us from winning Australian Supercar Championships. So I feel like, we have to also remember he's very wise. He's smart in how he goes about things. And so I expect we'll see that quite a bit too, how he races, especially in the first round. I think he's going to race very smart.
Let's give some credit to the TrackHouse team, because Justin Marks has given him a quality team. Mm-hmm. They're keeping him out there, and he's running. He's got good cars.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's made a huge difference for him this year. And he's got, like I mentioned Steven before, he's got a great crew chief. It was interesting in the last few weeks I had talked to Steven now that I'm back on Cup coverage, and I was surprised. He told me that they expected, and this was before he won Watkins Glen, they expected to win half the road courses. They did not expect to win 3 road courses in a row. And now you're looking at 4 road courses in a row. And so I think they've even outkicked their coverage and outperformed their expectations for the year. So I'm wondering, how do they kind of reset their expectations and their goals once the playoff starts and they see what they've done in the regular season?
And would you agree, obviously, Holly, the TrackHouse has done a wonderful job giving him quality equipment, because hey, even the best drivers can't win in mediocre equipment.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think we're seeing that it's going to be interesting in the playoffs as well with how Ross Chastain, his teammate, also does with this good equipment. You've got Daniel Suarez racing for his own reasons, he's still got a couple chances to get a shot in the playoffs, but also for another team to be attractive to another team. So the drivers have all the motivation. That team has all the motivation. And I think seeing Justin Marks met with the media a couple of times this weekend at Watkins Glen and seeing, how he felt, the passion and feeling like, frankly said, this is as good as he's felt about the team in years.
All right, when we come back, a lot of controversy after Watkins Glen, especially after the Xfinity race, and we ended up with a jammed up road course. What should be done there? We'll talk about that when we come back.
This is Kyle Petty for Echo Park Automotive. As you might imagine, I know a thing or two about cars, and I'm here to tell you about a whole new way to buy a car, truck, or SUV. Did you know that Echo Park Automotive has over 95,000 five-star reviews? On top of that, every car that Echo Park Automotive sells goes through a 190-point inspection to make sure that it looks and drives like new, so you leave happy. It's even in their name, Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
We work hard to keep our cars looking great on the outside, but engine components need our attention too. That's where you can trust Z-Max Micro Lubricant to disperse carbon buildup in your engine and fuel system to keep your car or truck running at its peak. By soaking into the metal of your engine, Z-Max Micro Lubricant improves performance, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Trust the many customers who've said, "Thanks for saving my engine." Find out more at zmax.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Lenny Baticki brings you PRN at the Track every week here on PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, it's PRN's Brad Gilley. Did you know you can take PRN with you anywhere? That's right. By downloading the PRN mobile app, you can listen to our live race broadcast from anywhere. Make sure you don't miss a second of the action from the track. Download today for station listings and on-demand access to your favorite studio shows like Fast Talk, The Pit Reporters, or Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app. Available in the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
Hey, I'm Corley Joy for Speedway Children's Charities. The mission for Speedway Children's Charities has remained true since its founding almost 40 years ago, to care for children in educational, financial, social, and medical needs in order to help them lead happy and productive lives. So many children have benefited from our group in the past, but we need your help now more than ever. There's so much we can do when we all join together, so let's start today. Visit speedwaycharities.org to learn more. I thank you in advance for your help.
Let's get back to more Pit Reporters on the Performance Racing Network.
And welcome back, along with Holly Kane from the NASCAR Wire Service and Kim Kuhn from the CW and NBC. I'm Brett McMillan. Glad to have you with us. A lot of fans have been, and there some broadcasters and some media people have been all upset about the way the drivers were using all of the pavement at Watkins Glen. They might have used the parking lot, too, if it was available to them, Holly. They were getting way off the main part of the track. And, it affected things in the Truck Series race. It affected things in the Xfinity Series race. And we saw, the big pileup that ended up blocking the track as a result of the fact that guys were going way off what's supposed to be the racing surface and then getting into wrecks that were blocking things. So a lot of questions have been asked this week about, should NASCAR be enforcing track limits, or what can they do to get these guys back to racing on what should be the racing service instead of other stuff, all these runoff areas? What do you think about all this?
I am not in favor of track limits, and I know that may not be a very popular answer, but I think part of this is that racing drivers are going to use what they can, and they should be able to. They're going to figure it out based on what works and what doesn't work. Now, obviously, seeing the accidents that we did, that was no good. And I hate that. But I think, how is NASCAR going to be able to enforce this in a real stringent way? Can you imagine the number of penalties constantly? Or are they going to wait till after the race like Formula One does and say, oh, so-and-so is a 10 or a 20-second penalty for exceeding track limits when it went on? I don't see how there's a super duper enforcement way on road courses that they can do that. And I think that whatever the limits are, that's what these guys are going to push anyway. I mean, then what becomes track limits? Having, one tire barely going over the edge of a rumble strip, if they exceeded it there. I just think it becomes crazy to enforce. And I think it has to be something done within them. And I also think it's part of what makes road course racing.
I thought I was going to be in the minority because I agree. I don't love the idea of track limits. I think they're in some regards too hard to police. But I also think because there's runoff areas, it makes guys take bigger risks and moves that they maybe wouldn't do otherwise, which can make for exciting racing. Now, on the flip side, you can have some bizarre accidents too. But I think it makes them a little bit more creative in how they do things on track in terms of their racecraft. And let's be honest, if you're going so far off track, there's not really a benefit to it. So there's not necessarily an advantage by using other parts of the track that if you had track limits, enforced, that they would be benefiting from. So I like it. And I would say, at least, for Watkins Glen, I think some of what we saw this past weekend was due to where the race fell in the schedule for both the trucks and the Xfinity Series. It's so close to the playoffs. Guys are gunning for a spot in the playoffs. They're gunning to get more playoff points. I would be interested to see if you had the same type of racing and the same kind of leaning on there not being track limits if this race was, the fourth race of the year or something. So I think it was maybe just more of a perfect storm of there's no track limits, and oh, by the way, the playoffs are right around the corner, and it's just a fast road course in general. But yeah, I'm with Holly. I don't like the idea of track limits. I think it's too hard to police.
Yeah, Holly, and I think people have real short memories because they forget why a lot of these areas are paved, because they used to be these big gravel pits, and when a car would go off in the gravel pits, so we've seen some cars do weird things like flip over when they get into the gravel pits, but also when you get into the gravel pit, it takes a long time for the wreckers to get over there and pull them out of the gravel pits. And that means more laps under caution, which nobody likes.
That's the great irony of it. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's precisely. And, I really feel like our road courses have evolved in a way and doing that, not using the gravel pits like that, not having it like that it kind of really bodes well. I feel like it's a good situation. And I think Ken makes such a great point about the racing because of the playoffs coming up. Do they still race like this if they're doing it in April? Maybe they do, but I think that definitely played into it as well.
Do want to talk about something else during the Xfinity race, and first of all, the positive of it is Connor Zilisch, another win for this kid, 19 years old. This kid is 11th straight top 5 finish. Are there any more accolades we could give this kid?
Every week we get like a stats package from our Racing Insights group, and it's like every week he seems to break another record or write his name in the history books for something else. I was kind of disappointed because he ended up getting injured because he was going to be the youngest driver to do the triple if he had raced on Sunday. And so I was looking forward to that because the last time we saw that was when Eric Jones did it. And think how old Eric Jones is now. So it's been forever since we've seen such a young driver go up for that. So I was a little sad that we didn't get to see that. But here's one thing. He is so talented and he's adaptable. Like, he's not just winning on the road courses. He is learning so quickly. And I also think on top of even outside of his ability, I think back at Texas when he was out of the car for an injury from Talladega, seeing Kyle Larson win in his car lit a fire under his butt. And so I think those 11 straight top 5s, that's partially due to that because he's making, and granted, you evolve as a rookie in general, but I think that kind of accelerated his maturation because he's not making the same mistakes that he did earlier in the season. He's having much cleaner races. He's seeing the benefits of his cleaner racing and not making these kind of rookie mistakes that we saw at the beginning of the year.
And not to mention the fact that he is, when you talk to him, Holly, you'd think he was 35 years old instead of just turning 19. He's respectful. He's well-spoken. He's a pleasure to talk to.
He really is. He's got a great head on his shoulders. I've met and spoken with his parents, and they really do as well. So that's not not a super big surprise. You've got to remember he was over racing in Europe when he was a young teenager, so he's very well traveled. He's used to that kind of thing. And, as Kim says, the fact that he's winning on all these different styles of tracks. And the other thing that amazes me about Connor is there's been more than one race where he's either been penalized or had something go wrong, and he's been zipped back in the field quite a bit, and he comes back up again and often has won despite all of that. So I think he's, I hate it, it's an overused term, but I think he's a generational talent. I think he is going to prove to kind of be our next Jeff Gordon, Kyle Larson, which is a lot to heap on someone. But I really believe, and keep in mind, he came into NASCAR after winning IMSA's two biggest races. He won in the 24 hours, the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and he won at Sebring. So he's got a broad background. He's raced overseas. And I think that really people, and he works hard as well. And the fact that his competitors seem to like him, he's got a great personality. I think it all bodes well for Connor to be a really big star in this sport.
Now, that being said, I tell you, Kim, and I got to say, the CW did a wonderful job when he fell out of the car or off the car. I thought he had hit his head. I had no idea, obviously, what had happened. He was laying there on the ground, not moving. It was horrible, and I thought the CW did a great job. I thought Adam did a wonderful job, the way he handled it, went to the wide shot, didn't replay it because, well, we could all replay it sitting at home. I mean, look at it, let's be honest. But I was horrified, and I thought he was seriously injured, much more than a broken collarbone. And now, break from the, no pun intended, a break from the standpoint that the Xfinity Series is off this week, and Daytona's next up for them. And in a couple more weeks, their playoffs don't start until Bristol, so we really don't know. He did have surgery on the collarbone this week. So he's 19 years old. 19-year-olds feel they heal fast, don't they?
Yeah, he's strangely, the first time he was injured this season, it was right before an off weekend. And the second time he was injured this season, it was right before an off weekend. So bad luck, but bad fortuitous luck at the same time. I don't know. But it was definitely a scary fall. And I think our network handled it wonderfully, Adam in the booth. But I also want to give credit to all of the photographers and media folks that were in Victory Lane, because when you saw that wide shot, they had their cameras down. And I think in some situations you could have people that would try and take advantage of that, even having a cell phone up or something. And everyone, not just the CW, not like just our network, everybody. And that really speaks to how close I think everybody in the industry is and the respect that everybody has for the sport and for each other, because not one single person had, at least that worked in the industry, had a cell phone up or were using their camera. They were letting it flush out and let him get the medical attention he needed after he fell. So everybody deserves credit that was in Victory Lane for the respect that they showed in the moment.
Yeah, and Holly did see the medical personnel were there immediately. You don't realize they're hanging out in Victory Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kim, you're so right. I thought that you guys handled it. I mean, it was such an unexpected thing. I can remember sitting there typing on my computer, looking up, waiting, because instead of doing the interviews on track, he was doing them in Victory Lane. So we had to wait a minute to even be able to get our quotes from him post-race. So I was paying attention, and it was almost like, what just happened here? It was really quite frightening. And to see his mother down there looking up and like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But I think as bad a situation as it was handled so well, like you said, Ken, by everyone, by the media professionals there, but also having medical people right there taking care of it. And also, I would add, sharing with us updates and letting us know how Connor was doing. And so it was great to see him the next day, shoulder in a sling on the grid. That's for sure.
All right, real quickly, going back to what we talked about at the top of the segment, what do you think should be done to clean up Watkins Glen? Do you think there should be track limits? Do you think they should bring back the gravel pits or do nothing? Last week we asked you, who is the top driver at Hendrick right now? And 39% said it's Kyle Larson. 33% said it's William Byron. 17% said Chase Elliott. And 11% said Alex Bowman. Interesting.
Yeah.
That was coming off of William Byron's win last week. So interesting to see that. All right, when we come back, a lot of talk about people that don't like the championships that NASCAR has. Yeah, Ask fans of IndyCar how they like it.
No.
We'll be right back.
This is a consumer warning for men in our audience looking to buy generic versions of the blue or yellow pills online. Be very careful. Many of these products may be completely ineffective. Our research team has found versions of these blue and yellow pills for the remarkable price of about $1 a pill. They have a success rate as high as 87% to help men with erection issues. And remember, with a price as low as $1, you'll get more bang for your buck. Call now and we can confidentially ship your order with no questions asked. Call now to learn how to get our versions of the blue or yellow pills for about $1 a pill. Call now and ask for express shipping to get your package in days. 800-245-4816. 800-245-4816. 800-245-4816. That's 800-245-4816. Call Pharmacy Shop now.
Mark Garrow's your host for Garage Pass here on PRN, the Performance Racing Network. A NASCAR memory with Doug Rice and Kyle Petty.
They established the Hall of Fame. First two people that get in, besides your dad, is Bill France Sr. and Bill Jr. Your time behind the wheel overlapped with Bill Jr., didn't
Yes,
it?
for sure. For sure. I was called to the truck many times while Bill Jr. was in there. But you know what? What I remember about Bill Jr. as much as anything was being a kid and him sitting and talking to my dad or talking to my granddad. And Bill Sr. would be in some of those conversations, but you'd sit down at the racetrack and they would talk about where the sport was and where the sport was going. Bill was never satisfied with where the sport was. And that is the one thing that I came to admire about him. At the time, I didn't. At the time, I didn't appreciate it as much. But, you know, I'll never forget we were doing some stuff and I was driving for Felix and I was called to the truck and I was reminded gently by Bill France Jr. that this was his sport. And if I would like to participate in his sport, that I needed to kind of change my ways. And I changed my ways so that I could participate in his sport.
We're back with more of the Pit Reporters on the Performance Racing Network.
And welcome back, along with Kim Kuhn from the CW and NBC and Holly Kane from the NASCAR Wire Service. Brett McMillan, glad to have you with us. You know, fans, we hear it all the time. It's the old school fans, Kim. We liked it better when we had a season-long champion. And we don't like this whole playoff thing where it's all determined by one race. Well, go over to IndyCar, where Alex Palou has been crowned the champion, and there are still 2 races yet to run.
Yes. Not great. And it was very anticlimactic when he
finished third
and
clinched the championship.
Did win the championship. Was like, he won.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's why NASCAR has gone to this system to keep some drama in the sport into the fall, because it's otherwise you end up with situation. And I don't mean to. I'm not insulting IndyCar. I'm just saying that's the way the system works. And here's your comparison. Do you want a system where the races don't matter in the fall because some guy gets a huge points lead and it goes down to the end like that? Or would you rather have a system where you've got something to talk about and something to get you excited in the fall?
I lean towards wanting to get excited about something. Every other major league sport has a playoff system, so I think the playoff system should stay. However, I do think there's maybe a slight middle ground where there could be some changes that are made to the format of the playoffs that could satisfy those fans that want a season-long championship. Now, what that is exactly, that remains to be seen. Even looking at not making it a championship race, maybe making it a championship round, kind of like you have NBA, the best of 7, that sort of thing, where it would be like the best of 3 or that sort of thing. I am all for, though, a playoff format. Now, maybe the format needs some changes, but I do not want to see a season-long championship and end up in a situation where we've crowned a champion, especially because we also have a lot more races than IndyCar. And so we could be looking at a champion if we had that system in place even earlier than 2 races to go like IndyCar did.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Holly, you and I have been, we're the older ones here. Kim's the baby. But we remember the days when you'd have a guy would clinch a champ. All you have to do is finish 30th or better the last 2 races of the season and would have a championship all wrapped up. And it's just, you go through the fall and there's just not a lot to talk about because somebody would have the championship basically wrapped up. And I prefer something where there's something to be excited about. And think about what we'd be talking about now if you had this season-long championship going. Think about, you take this whole thing off the table now where, who's on the plus side of the the playoff system right now? Who's battling to get in? It puts a whole new perspective on things.
I love the way it is now. And you're right. I can remember when I started covering the sport in the early 1990s, it felt like Dale Earnhardt had already won the championship with 4 and 5 races to go still. And not just him, but I do remember seasons, though, where this championship had been decided well before the last few races. So, and that it just isn't quite the same vibe that we have now. And I think the fact that the playoffs exist, I agree with Ken, maybe we can tweak that a little bit. I do like the idea that they are changing up where the championship round is. Next year it's going to be at Homestead. It's been at Phoenix. I think maybe doing something like that is certainly very good and encouraging, because sometimes you do have people like Alex Palou in IndyCar. I mean, he could easily win the next 2 races. And I don't think that's exactly what the fans want when they're looking over the season. And so I think the playoffs have been great, and we can always tweak it a little bit.
Well, and think about this, Kim, 2 races to go in the regular season. Every driver is still engaged because every driver still has a shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it keeps some drivers from being lackadaisical. You could make the argument on the other hand, though, if you're a driver that has already locked themselves into playoff with a win, but isn't anywhere near the regular season championship or even earning a significant amount of playoff points, depending on where they finish in the regular season, that maybe they think of it almost as a little bit of a throwaway too. So you could look at it both sides, but they're absolutely, like I said, I want a playoff format and I want a regular season finale like we have now, where somebody still has an opportunity to go for a championship. And that's what I love about the current system. And then I love that we do elimination during the playoffs too. So as we're thinking about, like, could we mold the playoffs to look differently? I don't want to see the elimination style leave. So I don't want to see like a 10 race playoffs, but once we get to the playoffs, then it's like a points race kind of thing. I like the drama of round after round. You're on the chopping block if you're not cutting it.
Yeah, I think that, and I think she makes a great point, Holly. That's the thing. You are always having to be on the chip.
Absolutely. And you know what? I would argue even deciding which 4 drivers get to that championship round. There's been drama in that. So I think so many different things can happen in the way the playoffs exist now to create that compelling storyline going into that last race. And I think what it does, and we've mentioned it, but even just being at the racetrack and feeling the way things are with a couple of races to finish out the regular season. I can remember years where people were not doing that in August. They were not all jacked up, so to speak, in their racing, and the fans weren't. So, I mean, this provides kind of a rebirth in the middle of the season. And then the playoffs provide great drama every single week for 10 weeks, ending with, this 4-race championship. I really think that it's one of the best things that NASCAR has ever done.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the playoffs and who can throw a Hail Mary over the next 2 weeks and complete it. Stay with us.
This is Kyle Petty for Echo Park Automotive. As you might imagine, I know a thing or two about cars, and I'm here to tell you about a whole new way to buy a car, truck, or SUV. Did you know that Echo Park Automotive has over 95,000 5-star reviews? On top of that, every car that Echo Park Automotive sells goes through a 190-point inspection to make sure that it looks and drives like new, so you leave happy. It's even in their name. Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
Make your plans now to stay at the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa when NASCAR returns to Las Vegas. They have great race ticket and room packages for you to choose from. The South Point also features a wide variety of excellent dining options at 11 different restaurants. Or you can enjoy the 16-screen movie complex and visit the 64-lane bowling center. Visit southpointcasino.com and make your reservations today. Stay where the racers stay at the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa.
Doug Rice is your host for Fast Talk every week on PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Here's Christopher Bell.
My Toyota Camry TRD race car isn't cheap to build and prepare. I have a pit crew that maintains and fixes my equipment. I have a spotter high above the track watching my back, talking me through turns and potential dangers on the track. I physically train to handle the stress of driving. And I have software helping my crew chief and engineers make the right strategy calls. And with all this, I never take my eyes off the road, and neither should you. One distraction can change everything in one instant.
Brett McMillan returns with more of the Pit Reporters here on the Performance Racing Network.
Sweepstakes fans, start your entries. Visit echopark.com/speedway to enter for a chance to win a Toyota Tundra plus a brand new Thor camper. Visit echopark.com/speedway now, and you can drive off a winner. And we welcome you back. Holly Kane is here and Kim Kuhn is here, and we're looking at 2 races to go, Holly, in the regular season, and the cut line is right there at Chris Buescher. 34 points to the good right now. Alex Bowman's 60 to the good, and Tyler Reddick, he's plus 117, so you feel like Tyler's in pretty good shape right now. Ryan Preece minus 34, Kyle Busch minus 102. But here's the thing, and this is the thing I keep hearing from these guys as you talk to them. They all go, look, I cannot assume that I can get in on points. And Reddick at this point can, because obviously we only have 2 races to go. But they've been saying, I can't assume I'm going to make it on points, and Chris Buescher knows that as well as anybody, because somebody could throw a Hail Mary and make it in these, if not one of, maybe both of these last 2 races. So if you were putting money on somebody or 2 people these next 2 weeks at Richmond and at Daytona, who you thinking could be the ones that could throw and complete a Hail Mary?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure.
I feel like I should write mine down so that in case we say the same ones. I'm interested to see what Holly says.
You know what? I don't know if we will. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. I think that it is unfathomable to me that he wouldn't be racing for the championship this year after, struggling last year. Obviously he's very good at both Richmond and Daytona. He has 6 wins at Richmond. He won 4 years in a row, the spring race there. And at Daytona, he's only got 1 win. But when I asked him recently at Watkins Glen, where did he see him being able to pull off that Hail Mary? He said Daytona, that the team, Richard Childress Racing, had really good cars there. So I'm going to say Kyle Busch gets my Hail Mary. And if not him, I think Austin Dillon, his teammate, does. I believe either Alex or Chris, and fortunately 2 great guys, I think they're going to really have to work at this. And I think there's a very good likelihood that somebody wins their way in.
What are you thinking, Kim?
Can I pick a Hail Mary for Richmond and then one for Daytona?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for Richmond, I had one of the RCR cars. And that's not just because Austin won it last year. But, I mean, if you think about the performance by the team last year, outside of what happened at the end of the race, like they had a strong race the entire night. And then you look at what they've done recently. Austin finished top 10 at Iowa. He finished 15th last weekend at Watkins Glen, which for a road course, like that's a win for him at a road course. And so they have momentum. And so I think they're going to be strong this weekend. So I would say one of the RCR cars, because I'm not going to exclude Kyle Busch from that, because he could definitely find a way to win at Richmond. But then if I think about Daytona, and that opens up a whole other can of worms, like I know we say anybody can win at Daytona, but it's true. Like anybody can win. But if I'm picking somebody to upset, I think it's going to either be Keselowski that gets the win at Daytona or like Hocevar. I just think they're going to be racing insanely to try and get that spot and do things that maybe people question to find themselves in victory lane. So I would not be surprised if either two of those drivers were to win Daytona and get themselves into the playoffs.
And just think about if your pick, let's say Richmond does not have a new winner and Keselowski wins at Daytona, he knocks out one of his cars.
I know. And that would be unfortunate, but I don't think he would feel bad about it.
Right.
Either way,
as long as he gets one in.
Honestly, if he's getting in over one of his teammates, not only is he getting in as a driver, he's getting in as a team owner, versus if it's one of his drivers / teammates, he's only getting in via them as an owner. So I think he's rooting for himself.
Yeah,
No question.
Yeah.
No question, Holly. I mean, that's the tough one right now, because RFK has really run well the last 2 months of this season. And here they are on both sides of on either side of the bubble, and Brad's been running really well, and he's climbed up in the standings too. He's up to 19th in the standings now.
Yeah, that's big for him. It was really a slow start to the season for him, and it's kind of amazing if you think about it that Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece are the two guys going for that last transfer position, so to speak, with points. I think Ryan Preece, and I didn't mention him, I said both the RCR guys, but I'm going to hedge a little bit too and say he very well may pull something off here. He's run amazingly this year on all sorts of tracks, even to the point of surprising himself. So I think RFK is not done.
Do you think Bowman, now 26 points ahead of Buescher, how safe is he, Kim?
If I'm Bowman or Buescher, I don't feel safe. I don't know what the mathematics are for Reddick. Like if there's still a possibility where he doesn't make it, if something were like if he were to like crash out lap one of both races and then there was also a new winner or two new winners, like there might be a margin of a possibility. Again, I haven't done the math.
Points are
but
60, right?
I don't even like if I'm not in already, I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if I'm plus 117 and I'm Reddick. Because again, like I haven't done the math and I don't know if it's mathematically possible for him to get kicked out. I think it probably is if he were to DNF both races and we would have two winners. But I don't feel, unless I have a win, I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
But like we've seen it come down in years past to the last lap of Daytona and somebody's out. Like what the year that Martin Truex Jr. versus Ryan Blaney?
Yeah.
You don't remember that? Like anything can happen.
Well, we saw Harrison Burton win down there last year. We saw Briscoe last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw Briscoe last year at Darlington.
I mean, last year we saw the last three races, Watkins Glen, Richmond, and Daytona, all be won by drivers that were winless up until then.
Yeah.
Because we had Chris Buescher, or I guess Watkins Glen was in
the playoffs.
No, I'm not thinking Watkins Glen. What was the race before? There were the last three races, I thought.
Richmond, I think. Richmond was Austin Dillon.
Maybe I'm just thinking of the three races. Well, anyway, regardless, though, even though that Watkins Glen was in the playoffs, you still saw it won by a driver that had been winless up until then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah, they were all excited last week that SVG won. Holly, they were real pleased to see him win again.
If you're a driver who is near the cut line, you're not going to win, you were SVG's biggest fan there in the close of Watkins Glen.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, that's the thing. If you really look at it, I mean, this is what's exciting about it, and knowing that at the same time that one of these guys, hey, a Michael McDowell, we've seen him run great at places like Daytona. Mm-hmm. Could he pop up all of a sudden and win Daytona and knock somebody out? Yeah,
like literally any.
I wanted to bring up Michael McDowell. He came in for a press conference at Watkins Glen, and I've covered him, as you guys have, for years and years and years and years. And I will tell you, there felt like there was a little something different. He really, really was kind of no nonsense. He's going to win. That's what he needed to do. And I saw this extreme focus, this drive, it was unmistakable. And in fact, a couple of the other reporters mentioned that they had noticed the same thing too. So you absolutely cannot count him out either.
All right. Well, Richmond's going to be interesting. Just one date this year, and this is it. We'll talk about Richmond when we come back.
Attention investors. This is a simple commercial on the investment value of gold. Gold continues to make new highs. In good markets and in bad markets, you need to have your portfolio balanced with gold. Learn about owning physical gold or getting a gold-backed IRA. Make this simple call right now.
800-308-4648. 800-308-4648. That's 800-308-4648.
Sponsored by Reagan Gold. We're offering a 100% risk-free gold guide. Gold continues to make new highs. And unlike stocks, gold has never been worth zero. You owe it to your nest egg and future to own some physical gold or set up a gold-backed IRA. Call right now for your free report.
800-308-4648. 800-308-4648. That's 800-308-4648.
Sponsored by Reagan Gold.
Catch Kyle Petty's Back Then Again Country Countdown with Charlie and Debbie here on PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Get your NASCAR fix with PRN's Garage Pass.
It's hard to just turn it around in 1 week, but I wouldn't be shocked if we did.
I don't think the results have been what we have hoped for or expected, but I think the potential in the cars and the speed has been pretty good.
It's a big deal already, so that's a big positive for us. So I think now it's just about working together and getting better.
I think the Penske cars are still elite when it comes to plate racing.
Hi, I'm Mark Garrow, tracking the latest racing news every weekday.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right
that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Let's get back to more Pit Reporters on the Performance Racing Network.
And welcome back, along with Kim Kuhn from the CW and NBC Sports, and also Holly Kane from the NASCAR Wire Service. Brett McMillan, glad to have you with us. All right, Kim, Richmond, just one race this year, back under the lights. I would expect we're going to have a pretty good crowd on Saturday night.
I would say so, too. And this is going to be my white flag, but now that we're talking about it, it's not going to be my white flag since we're going to discuss it. But I love that we are going to a single race for a lot of these venues. That's how I prefer it. I think outside of like Daytona, Talladega, maybe Martinsville, we should only be visiting tracks one time. I think it creates a specialness in those races. We saw the camping just skyrocket at Pocono when they went to one. We saw it at Michigan. Dover having just one race now. I think it for the health of what the stands looks like during a race weekend, it does wonders to have one race. It draws people in versus if it's split in two and people hem and haw. But I love Richmond. I'm actually excited because it's almost like a mini vacation. It's only one series I'm covering this weekend since Xfinity Series is off. And Richmond has some of the best like local area restaurants and coffee shops and shopping, and the James River runs through town. And so I always love a Richmond trip.
All right. Holly, can you match that?
I don't know. I agree with her. I agree with her on everything except I'd like to see Richmond with 2 dates. I think it is kind of the heart of the schedule. I would put it as one of those tracks that could have 2 dates. Having said that, you're absolutely right. People are flocking. They're going to be there. It's going to be magical to have the night race there. It's such a great venue, but also, and the drivers love racing at Richmond. They really do. They like it a lot. So I hope the fans are going to be out. It sounds like there's great ticket sales and all of that. I do think that maybe we can rotate that and have certain tracks have 2 dates. And I would love to see Richmond get a second date soon. I think it's that good of a venue and important to the sport as well. So I would like to see that. But I agree with Kim absolutely on the things to do there. I'm a huge Revolutionary War nut, so I plan on driving around if I have a little time when I first get in and checking out some things. So it's a great city, great facility, and I can't wait for the night race.
All right. All that being said, in recent years, Richmond has been the poster child for criticism of the short track package.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think the tire has helped. The tire we saw there recently has helped the racing seem better because guys are on different strategies. They're taking different tires at different times. And so it creates the illusion of a better race there. And that's where I stand on that. Maybe the package does need a little work, but if we're not going to do work on the package, I think having a very soft tire like we've seen there recently is a great middle ground to make an exciting race out of Richmond, which beforehand had become a little dull in terms of the intensity of the racing we saw there.
Well, we should see a lot of intensity this week, Holly, because of where it sits on the schedule. And I wonder if moving tonight with the softer tire, will we see some fall off? Because that was one of the things a couple weeks ago at Iowa that surprised the teams, that they didn't feel like they had the kind of fall off that they expected with a softer tire.
Well, I think that's one of the really big questions for the weekend. And, I like the fact that it's a night race. I feel like having that kind of in there, a Saturday night race, builds the emotion and all of that towards the playoffs. But you're absolutely right. It'll be interesting to see how the tire does. And if it reacts differently than Iowa or is the weather or all of the other variables, how much does all of that play into it? So I think that's something that we'll have to see. But you know what? It ultimately, I expect this race to be highly competitive and it to be absolutely crazy in the final few laps.
Now, you guys both talked about the fact RCR has been good at Richmond. Mm-hmm. The other team that's been really good at Richmond has been JGR.
Yeah, the Toyotas there. I would say Toyotas in general because Reddick was in the mix last year too, up in I think like the top 5, maybe the top 10. JGR has been very good. Denny Hamlin finished second last year, so I would not count them out. I know that they've been trying to make some strides though on their short track program, so I'll be interested to see how they net out. I'll look for big things from Hamlin, not just because he finished second there last year, but had a conversation with Chris Gale this past Sunday, and he talked about, with it being Denny's hometown track, what he considers his home track, and then also the fact that the recent schedule has been littered with some road courses, and then they weren't great at Iowa. Like, this is a big race for that 11 team to find some confidence before the playoffs start to bolster kind of their headspace before we go championship racing. And so I definitely have my eye on them this weekend.
I did hear William Byron this week, Holly, say that, they have not been particularly good at Richmond, but they're encouraged after that Iowa run because they feel like there's a lot of similarities there. You buy that?
Sure. I do buy that. And, I will find out, won't we? And I just, if you don't mind, I wanted to agree with Kim on that. And somebody else that I'm very curious to see, and we haven't really mentioned him, is Ty Gibbs. And JGR is so good at Richmond. I feel like he's kind of gotten himself to that point where he's just at the cusp of getting that very first win. And so I'm very curious to see how he does that weekend. And it would not surprise me to see him vying for the trophy as well.
Well, he's another one that could upset the whole apple cart as far as the playoffs go. Yep. There's another one. There's another Hail Mary coming your way. And it would be appropriate for a former football coach.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you
go.
There you go.
All right. When we come back, time for our white flag laps. Kim's got some.
Hey,
time to come up with a new-
for Echo Park Automotive, and I'm here to tell you why you should shop Echo Park before you buy a car, truck, or SUV. Over half the inventory at Echo Park is priced below $25,000, and car for car, truck for truck, Echo Park Automotive's pricing is $3,000 less than the competition. Maybe that's why Echo Park has over 100,000 five-star reviews. Echo Park Automotive is built to make sure everyone drives away happy. It's even in their name, Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
Whether your engine runs daily or only when you need it, Z-Max Micro Lubricant is the force you need against carbon buildup that can damage your engine. Combustion causes carbon and other harmful deposits to build up in your engine, fuel system, and transmission. And carbon is like sandpaper rubbing against your engine's internal parts. You don't want that. You want Z-Max Micro Lubricant. It soaks into metal and keeps your vehicle running at peak performance. Find out more at zmax.com or visit us on Facebook and Twitter. Protect your engine to the max with Z-Max.
Lenny Baticki brings you PRN at the Track every week here on PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Anytime you get somebody at the front of the pack who's not used to running up there and who's not been there, the established names are going to scream. They're going to cry. They're going to whine. Oh, there's somebody else coming up here to get my trophy and get my money. It's Carson Hocevar. What's he doing up here? He had just as much right to get in there and force the issue. And if not for the caution, he's a race winner.
Hey, this is Doug Rice of the Performance Racing Network. That's Fast Talk right here on PRN.
Local radio brings people together like never before.
It's a beautiful hometown weekend out there. We've got
your local stations keep you informed and involved with music, talk shows, and real-time news updates you can trust. We are live and local. We are America's broadcasters, connecting you to what matters most. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress to support your local radio stations.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to STOP.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
We're back with more of the Pit Reporters on the Performance Racing Network.
And welcome back. Time now for our white flag laps. And first up from the NASCAR Wire Service, it's Holly Kane.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is my white flag lap. The competition, building, the excitement, what we can expect for the playoffs. And again, what is so wonderful about this format is the very fact that we have 2 races to go and is as much excitement in those 2 as we can kind of expect for the playoffs too. So I am giving a checkered flag, a big trophy, everything to the format of how things are now. And I still think there are a dozen drivers that could put this together and win the championship. And that's something to be said.
Amen. I agree with you 100%. And
All right.
Congratulations to Alex Palou,
Yeah.
by the way, for winning the championship.
Yes.
2
So
races to go.
I'm going to go off of that. So we were talking about the IndyCar finale, how he's already clinched the championship and there's still 2 races to go. In my head, though, I was like, only 2 races. Wow. I had forgotten that IndyCar a number of years ago kind of pushed back their schedule. So their finale is August 31st, which is absolutely perfect. It's before you're diving in really to the bread and butter of football season. And so I think it would do us a favor as a sport if we looked once more at maybe backing up the end of our season, whether that means, that's not necessarily cutting down on the number of races. Maybe you do double headers or midweek races, but I would love to see it backed up even more. It's a week earlier, I think, this year than it has been. It goes over Halloween weekend, but I would love the runway to be moved back even further to where we're talking about like an early fall end to like a late summer, early fall end to the NASCAR season.
All right. I think that would be, I think a lot of NASCAR fans would like it.
Yeah, well, then we're not
a lot of
competing-
NASCAR officials would like it.
We're not competing with the pigskin.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I think a lot of, I don't know if the fans would like that, but I think a lot of people would.
yeah. I mean, we still give them the same amount of races, the same number of races. We just shorten up the time period in which they happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Similar. No off weeks.
Well, you would have off weeks at the end. You would have a bigger, you would have a longer holiday season.
Well, we talked at the top about SVG, and what this guy's doing is absolutely amazing. And I made the point at the beginning that a lot of folks have come in, from other parts of racing. Juan Pablo Montoya came in, Sam Hornish Jr. came in from Open Wheel, and we thought these guys would come in and do really well on road courses and things like that, and they came in and just didn't deliver like we thought they were going to. Well, this guy came in even more unheralded than those guys were very heralded. This guy came in and we didn't know much about him. We didn't really know anything about him before he won at Chicago, and he is delivering exactly what we thought he would do. When he signed on as a full-time Cup driver this year, we thought, well, he's going to win at the road courses. He'll get a couple wins at the road courses, and that'll get him into playoffs. And, well, no. To Kim's point, they've exceeded what they expected they would do this year. Appreciate it. You keep hearing that. Appreciate it. This guy is one of the best in the world, and he's delivering. Watch him. And I think he's going to get through the first round of the playoffs. He's going to stay out of trouble, get through the first round of the playoffs, and then it's going to be a blast watching him at the Roval to see if he can move into the round of 8. This guy is special and really making some big headlines in NASCAR and raising the game of everybody else. Holly, Kim, thanks a lot. Talk to you next week.
Join us again next week for the Pit Reporters on PRN, the Performance Racing Network.